Hello Internet, today I'll talk about House of the Dragon Season 2. In the first part I'll give my general impression, in the second one we'll go through some of the scenes that I wanted to discuss in more detail with spoilers. So House of the Dragon was okay, though I did expect it to be much more than okay. It has some very good scenes, but it all mixed in with rather terrible ones and with a lot of pointless, slow-paced meandering. It's like walking through a swamp trying to find gold. It pays off eventually, but the process itself is not that fun. The visuals are great. I like the costume design, and even dragon CGI was pretty good. There is definitely a lot to look at for sure, but this show really needs to step up its writing. The dialogue is dull and uninteresting, there is no humor to be found, and when they clearly giving an attempt at humor, it's actually embarrassing. Take Lannister's side quest, for example.
So grease the mast and send it up betwixt the wind and water.
Speaking of which, I am really starving to see a single charismatic character yet. The closest one that we got is Otto Hightower. He's good, but he's not quite what I mean. For some reason, despite having such large array of characters, not a single one is sharp-witted or fun. The whole show just drags on the same grey, depressing tone, and I feel it would benefit it greatly to have less of a straight face once in a while. Another thing, and that's a big one, is lack of grounding. If you go on the street, find a big burly man and punch him straight in the face, practically 100% of the time you'll get punched back immediately. It would be strange if the man would instead inquire if you're doing alright and you need a medical help. In the same way, if you kill a child, you expect the mother to be in fury and to have impossible grief. There's so many things that should be happening, but they don't. Either because writers just do not consider it, or because they have no control. When these unnatural behaviors keep happening in the story, it becomes unbelievable and kind of nonsensical. And for that story suffers greatly. I really liked Aemon this season, the man with the face of an anime villain. Whenever he's on the screen, something is happening. He's probably the most active character, really. And his personality, as disturbing as it is interesting to follow. Aemon's idol, on the other hand, is tripping balls and Harrenhal the whole season. I like the scenes when Daemon is interacting with the denizens, trying to assemble the army, and the scene with Oscar Tully was nice. But the other parts, I was just tuning out. They needed to be much shorter. Rhaenyra didn't do much at all, and her whole time was spent on the council, basically. Aegon was interesting to follow, this spoiled, cruel jackass who was just put on a throne, is trying to fit into his father's shoes and failing miserably. There are compelling dynamics that spring from it, with him and Alicent and Otto Hightower. I liked how Viserys' hobby of model building, something he left after himself, is slowly destroyed throughout the season by various characters, intentionally or not. It's a nice symbolism of the actual realm crumbling along with it. The Battle of Rook's Rest was nice, easily the best episode of the season. The last episode, though, you don't necessarily need to have a big battle in each season, but there have to be some closure, some payoffs. The season kind of just ends there with all this build up and no resolution. It's okay, not great, but I'll watch till the end anyway. And now to spoilers. If you still haven't watched House of the Dragon Season 2 and want to do it, go do it. 3, 2, 1, Blood and cheese. Now, I have read Fire and Blood a long time ago, and I barely remember anything about it, but this scene in particular really stood out to me. I still remember it, and I really wanted to see it adapted in the show, and who boy, they have failed spectacularly.
They killed the boy.
I don't like usually doing this, but allow me to read a little snippet of what actually was going to happen for people who don't know. The Tower of the Hand was less secure. The two men crept up through the walls, bypassing the spearmen posted at the tower doors. Sir Otto's rooms were of no interest to them. Instead, they slipped into his daughter's chambers, one floor below. Queen Alicent had taken up residence there after the death of King Viserys, when her son Aegon moved into Maegor's Holdfast with his own queen. Once inside, Cheese bound and gagged the Dowager Queen, whilst Blood strangled her bedmaid. They settled down to wait, for they knew it was the custom of Queen Helaena to bring her children to see their grandmother every evening before bed. Blind to her danger, the queen appeared as dusk was settling over the castle, accompanied by her 3 children. Jaehaerys and Jaehaera were 6, Maelor 2. As they entered the apartments, Helaena was holding his little hand and calling out her mother's name. Blood barred the door and slew the king's guardsmen, whilst Cheese appeared to snatch up Maelor. "Scream and you'll die," Blood told her grace. Queen Helaena kept her calm, it is said. "Who are you?" she demanded of the two. "Debt collectors," said Cheese. "An eye for an eye, a son for a son. Only want the one to square things. Won't hurt the rest of you fine folk, not one little hair. Which one you want to lose, your grace?" Once she realized what he meant, Queen Helaena pleaded with the man to kill her instead. "A wife is not a son," said Blood. "It has to be a boy." Cheese warned the queen to make a choice soon, before Blood grew tired and raped her little girl. "Pick," he said, "or we kill them all." On her knees, weeping, Helaena named her youngest, Maelor. Perhaps she thought the boy was too young to understand, or perhaps it was because the older boy, Jaehaerys, was King Aegon's firstborn and heir, next in line to the Iron Throne. "You hear that, little boy?" she whispered to Maelor. "Your mama wants you dead." Then he gave Blood a grin, and the hulking swordsman slew Prince Jaehaerys, striking off the boy's head with a single blow. The queen began to scream. And that's it. What a bone-chilling scene. The first time I read it, I had goosebumps. It's so twisted on psychological level. What's so great about it? They forced Helaena to choose and then kill another child instead, so now Helaena constantly wonders, and she has to live with it, and constantly wonders if Maelor understood what happened, and she has this shame until the end of her days. But she's also extremely relatable here. She offers herself up before agreeing to this horrible choice. She knows that her other children will die if she doesn't do something, and still has a cool head until the very last moment. But now let's see what we have in the show. Daemon himself goes into the King's Landing and specifically hires them to kill Aemond, the one-eyed prick.
You're to find and slay the Prince Aemon Targaryen.
We have a pretty lengthy scene of them crawling through the tunnels, which is unnecessary, but okay. It's pretty funny they brought a cute little dog just so Cheese's character could kick it, to establish that this character is a very bad man.
Fuck off!
They stumble into the castle like lost kittens. They have no idea what they're doing because they haven't been briefed on anything, they didn't form any plan, and now they immediately start improvising.
Set a trap. Huh? For appearances.
Blood finds bedmaids, then decides to pretend to be a rat catcher, then decides to kill her, but she now disappears in thin air. And then he stumbles upon Cheese holding Helaena already. Now remember the guards? There's no guards to kill in this show because nobody guards the royal family apparently.
They both look the same. Which one's the boy?
Maybe that one.
Oh, they're confused about who's the boy. That's the conflict of the scene. If only there was a really easy and for certain way to establish that.
We'll look for a cock.
So she offers her necklace, to which Blood responds.
That's not son.
And then she just points at Jaehaerys. She doesn't try to struggle, she doesn't try to bargain, she wasn't even forced by them in any kind of ultimatum. Which in the context of the show portrays her as a weak character and a terrible mother who doesn't care about her child. And it shouldn't be this way, because this is not the character.
No. She's telling true.
Then they slowly saw off the child's head with gruesome sound effects and allow Helena to just leave with the other child to look for the guards. Oh wait, there's no guards in this castle, I forgot. Helena storms off and finds Cole porking Alicent. It's a pretty disgusting scene to include in such horrible moment for Helena, and it just shows the priorities and a quality of writing. Also, the door was not closed. Cole would be probably executed, Alicent would be sent somewhere if people found out for certain if they had a romance. But I guess these characters just forgot.
Well, Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
So they kind of missed the whole point, and that's what's very disappointing about it. They for some reason thought it was about killing a child, while actually this moment was about the trick itself and this twisted psychology behind it. It was always about Helena and her living with a child that she condemned to death. You had an opportunity to make a great scene, a great moment of the whole show, and you just didn't go for it. You just made something mediocre for old people to gasp at. You know, even if you took source material and did it word by word, it would have been better. Actually, they did one phrase, and it's hilarious. Guess which one was that?
I know them better than the shape of my own cock.
It could be that they didn't do it because it was too graphic, but then we got first HBO allowing Red Wedding, where woman getting stabbed in the belly while she's pregnant. We have child suicide and a whole other bunch of things that happen in Game of Thrones that are much more brutal. And second, you can soften this scene up and still deliver the key moments of it easily. So I don't think it's that. I think it's just they didn't want to do it, they didn't think it was all that important, and didn't care that much. And
we are the poorer for it.
the scene of Otto Hightower chastising Aegon was amazing. It's definitely a highlight of the season.
Not say for certain which man it was, so...
Idiot!
Beware how you speak to your king, my lord.
The king is my grandson, and my grandson is a fool. He's worse than a fool. He's murdered innocent men.
Very well acted. I also like his character a lot. He's reminding me of Tywin Lannister, but without his Machiavellian side.
You never think of your father. His forbearance, his judiciousness, his dignity.
Fuck!
Dignity.
He's strict, he's rational, but also cares about the good of the kingdom, and not just following his own ambitions. Another scene that I wanted to discuss is Rhaenyra's little trip to King's Landing. First, in what possible scenario she thinks she could persuade Queen Alicent to end the war. And even if somehow she does that, Alicent doesn't have enough power to do it anyway. So she's doing this basically suicide mission for no good reason whatsoever, except for just showing that she's a good queen that cares about the lives of the innocent. And second, there is no possible reality where she doesn't get captured right after this conversation. Alicent would just leave, call the guards, and Rhaenyra get captured, the war ends, her children are safe, her house is safe, the end. I also like how the guards are conveniently not looking while the assassins are bound. because otherwise they would notice the queen having a heated conversation with some stranger woman who suspiciously looks like the queen that we saw while guarding the castle back in the day a lot. Alicent here just has this weird change of character. She's all of a sudden this heart of honor. She sleeps with Cole, she basically usurped the throne, she was the key character in doing so, and it can't just hang all on the last words of Viserys, which she confesses to in this conversation. She's just doing it for her family.
Do not let your pride blind you.
There's been
no mistake.
But capturing Rhaenyra right now and saving all the lives of the people you care about? No, this is too dishonorable. Completely unbelievable. The council scenes are very repetitive. There's so much of them where they start, I'll go. No, you're the queen or the king. You can't go. If you die, everything is lost. Then I go. No, I don't want you to go because this and that. And it just keeps repeating over and over again.
I will go.
My queen.
You cannot. Send me.
No.
You must send me, Your Grace.
Why not send all 3 dragons? Do you have something better to do right now than to fight the war right next to your doorstep? Like chatting or standing on the balcony looking thoughtfully into the distance? And this is kind of a problem this whole season with Rhaenyra. Before the chat with Alicent, you could say she wanted to end this war without bloodshed. She hoped to do it, but then it all ended.
There are those who have mistaken my caution for weakness. Let that be their undoing.
And you think finally she's going to do something. She's going to utilize this great asset, this upper hand that she has, the dragons. But no, she just sits on a dragonstone, doesn't send her dragons anywhere. Her son even needs to sneak off to make alliance with Rhaes. I don't know why her storyline is so stagnant this season. Especially considering the end of the first season where her son Lucerys dies and she's supposed to be in fury and revenge mode. It seems like everybody already reconciled with that and calmed down. Whatever, a dead kid in Game of Thrones, who cares? The Dragonpit scene.
Come on!
So imagine you're Rhaenyra, you have 3 dozens of these bastards, and you want this plan of them claiming 2 dragons to succeed real bad. What do? So you could educate them on dragons' behavior, make them learn Valyrian phrases necessary for taming a dragon, you make sure they don't show any fear, you let them choose which dragon they want to claim, if you believe in destiny and all that, and then you let them in one by one until this plan works. Instead, she gives this empty inspirational speech, drops everybody in one room, everybody starts burning, of course. You can look at this picture and see the problem right there. The first people that burned, they weren't even the target, they are just collateral damage. For the person who wanted this plan to succeed, she put absolutely no effort into it, and it still works out anyway because it's written this way, but not because we naturally arrive there, and that's not satisfying. This one guy yells at the dragon, showing his power of will, and it works out, and it's fine. The other dude though, he didn't do anything. He cowered in fear, just like the first person did, and he claims the dragon. Why? Why couldn't you just make this scene a little bit more interesting? Make him do something unusual or give him some lines? He's a wide mouth. You could have made this scene funny, but you still don't want to.
You bore me. You all bore me.
I guess dragons work in mysterious ways, don't think about it. The kiss between Rhaenyra and Mysaria felt completely unnatural. There was no build-up, there was no chemistry, they just start making out in the middle of this friendly conversation. I guess for the sake of the surprise, and you got me there. I didn't expect something that wasn't foreshadowed in any way to happen. And by the way, for people who don't know me, have nothing against LGBTQ, just write it better, don't use these cheap tricks, you stupid donkeys. I like the scene with Oscar Tully, this kid acted pretty well.
And I have no love for Daemon Targaryen. He has dishonored himself and the crown with his comportment here.
He ensured that river lords respect him while also staying true to himself and kind of manipulating Daemon into killing his own thug, but also giving Daemon what he wanted, which is the army, and upholding his word. Pretty intricate cobweb of intentions and motivations right there. And that's all I wanted to talk about. Oh, the Starks were also marching the whole season.
I can ready them to march at once. So they're old.
So yeah, I definitely have a love and hate relationship with the show, but that's because I care. I have this craving for medieval drama with a lot of characters and intertwined plot lines that needs to be satisfied. And that's why I might be heated at some points. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Ta-ta!